180, and we're at the speed down to 25 under.
Good point, wherever you reduce speed to 180.
BlackBox.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I have a unique opportunity and privilege to have one of my close friends on the show, Mr. Brent Montella. Brent, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Kenny Ken.
Kenny,
thanks for having me.
Here we go, Kenny Ken.
Kenny Ken.
We're going to do this. So Brent is a real estate agent, realtor. What's the difference between a realtor
Well,
and a real estate agent?
Well, realtor, you actually pay fees to be a realtor, and there's certain ethical guidelines you're supposed to be following.
Oh, God, so you can't
kind
be a realtor then,
right.
huh?
It's kind of being accredited.
Yeah.
So, if somebody has a complaint against you, they can lodge a complaint. There's like a small investigation, that kind of thing. So there's some repercussions to, maybe shady dealings or things like that. So
Shady Brent?
Yeah. Shady.
Not Shady Brent. I'm just kidding.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just totally
Shady.
kidding.
That wasn't very nice.
That is the worst introduction I think I've done yet
Yeah.
on one of these. But Brent Montella, shady real estate agent extraordinaire.
Thanks.
Not.
I wouldn't be here if I was shady.
We'll cut that out. Probably not.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, right. So, hey, as you're getting ready to drink a drink of water, how's
Yeah.
life?
It's going good. Going well. I'm a little sore today.
From?
So,
Wait a minute. This is a semi-G rated show.
okay.
What
I
we-
just did a track workout yesterday. It's been a while. I'm running a race on 4th of July weekend, gentleman's bet with another buddy. So we're going to do a mile run. So I did a little track workout yesterday, and I am feeling it today at 48 years old.
So pre-show, you were telling me, is this the same buddy that our friend Clayton?
Yes.
Beasting Clayton?
I was training with him, but the race is not with him. But I was training with him yesterday.
So if you can imagine this, here's a guy. We'll get to you in a little bit.
That's fine.
Let's talk about.
I'll be here waiting.
For
Go
a few
ahead.
minutes. This is a guy. Clayton's 6'9".
6'7", 6'9". Very tall.
Very tall.
Very tall.
For Brent and I, he is like chin up tall.
Giant.
Yeah, giant. Played basketball. I played with the Lakers for all of 3 weeks, I think.
Was it really that long?
I think, tryouts anyway.
Yeah.
We'll have him on the show soon, and
You need to.
we'll embarrass him.
You need to.
But I digress. So Clayton, yesterday you were working out with him. You were telling me that he had a bee sting
Yes.
on his tongue.
Yeah. So
What?
we're
Clayton, how do you get a bee sting on your?
yeah. We're just
Is he like,
we're just warming up, and we come around.
You'll have to see that on video.
And it's funny. There's some lacrosse players practicing also on the track, and so we're just coming around, just doing a warm up, and he starts going, Brian, I just swallowed a bee, or a bee went in my mouth, and it stung my tongue. And I was like, "Are you allergic?" Because I'm thinking he might die, because I don't know if I can help him.
Okay.
Anyway, so he's like, yeah, and he sticks out his tongue. He's like, get the stinger out, and I could actually see the stinger. So I'm 5'8" on a good day. I had some thick-soled shoes on. He's 6'7", and he sticks out his tongue, and I just take my finger, and I'm trying to scrape this bee sting off of his tongue. It was very comical. It was very interesting. So
5'8", 6'9".
yeah, so I'm up here like this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So we were talking about that last night and this
Yeah,
morning.
you ever heard the expression 5'8", and they go, "Wow, 5'8"?
Oh, I mean,
I didn't know they stack stinky that tall.
in my mind, I'm 6'2", 225. In reality, I'm 5'7", 5'8", 200.
Yeah, you're a beast, man. But I've got mad respect for you. You're not quite as old as I am. You're in your later 40s.
Yeah, 48.
I'm the big 5'0", and but you're a stud, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
You do rucks. You do. Is all that part of like your real estate marketing to go out and do all these crazy sports and hopefully get some business from it?
No, actually. So actually, something I found out in the last couple of weeks was it's really the process for me, and not so much the award or the end.
Yeah.
So all these go rucks, I did an Ironman triathlon in Chattanooga about a year and a half ago, but I found it's the
I remember that.
Yeah. I found it's the
Way
process.
down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Look, it was
Oh,
all
that's
it was all
Chattanooga, not
hills.
Chattanooga.
It was all hills.
Yeah.
It was a long day for me, a very long day. But I found that it's just really the process. So it's interesting. Same thing with real estate. or anything, whether it's, my spiritual life, whether it's my physical part or my mental. It's the process for me.
Yeah.
Not so much the awards. It's not so much the certificates, the medals, and all those kinds of things. But it's really the process and people that I've enjoyed.
That's interesting you bring that up. I think anything in business, when you find people who really focus on the product, focus on the process and not their product.
Right.
And it could be processing people. It could be processing real estate paper,
right.
and whatever your process is. If you really are devoted to your process versus getting your product or getting the commission or making a fee,
right.
Those seem to be the people that excel. Have you found that to be true in real estate?
Well, not just excel, but actually be happy.
Yeah, huh?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress in this business. I'm a retired police officer, but real estate is very stressful. And I have found that when I'm my purpose is more mission oriented than it is money oriented. That works for me. Some people want to dominate. Some people have a different aspect in how they want to be successful. Some want to dominate the market. Some people want a lifestyle, certain lifestyle. It's not that I don't have goals. It's not that I don't have benchmarks I want to hit. It doesn't mean I don't have a plan. It doesn't mean I don't have a purpose. I have a CRM that I use to keep up on all of this. Mm-hmm. It's just that my fuel and my purpose is much different, I think. It's kind of turning the real estate upside down. So some people feel like the foundation has to be commissions, money, and just this is this huge focus. I've kind of turned that upside down, I'd rather be happy, have a great lifestyle, be people, be processes, priorities, and that's going to come.
Sounds like it doesn't feel like work to you.
It's not. Honestly, people have said, man, I like your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I wake up very early, sometimes between 5 and 6. I sometimes will start working in my little garage office that I have.
Which is pretty sweet.
I appreciate that.
We'll have to post a picture of that on the site.
Yeah.
We were over at your house about a week ago, and you showed me your studio.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and you did it pretty inexpensively too, right? Which, again, I'm asking you questions, right, when you take a drink of water.
Go ahead and ask me a question.
Yeah. Let me I'll do something fun, Let's rewind that back a little bit and start over.
All right.
Well, how about this one? This is fun.
That's Mike Tyson for the crowd out there.
So that sounds like Mike Tyson, but it's actually Brent and his stand-up.
That's me.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, nonsense.
Should I be funny now?
You're always
okay. I'm going to go right now. Okay.
All right.
No,
So you built this little studio in your in your garage, and that's now become like your sanctuary workplace, right?
I love it. So we have some workout gear in there also. We have some workout gear in our outdoor gazebo, which I love working out at. But yeah, it was very inexpensive, especially with this quarantine and everything.
Yeah.
And even with my lifestyle, I would work from home often anyway, most often, because, we do our work as real estate agents. We're going to do it in coffee shops, restaurants, those kinds of things, maybe somebody else's home. But
well, with your background as a police officer, you probably frequent donut shops a lot too, right?
I love donut shops. I love donuts. Everybody loves a donut.
Yeah, right.
Donuts.
Hey, to bring the mood way down real quick, and then we'll get off. But police officers, man, they are in the target of our country right now with what's happened in Minnesota, and our thoughts and prayers go out to that family. Mr. Floyd, and I'm really sorry that happened to him. But man, just real quick, in your world, you were a retired police officer. I want to talk about that, but also talk about how that correlates and translates from serving in that community to where you serve now as a real estate agent. But and you told me not to talk about it, but when you say that to me, that's exactly what I'm going for. But obviously, what this guy has done, justice will be served. He's going to get his. As he should.
And the other officers that were there too.
And the other officers that were there too. And the world we live in now. I mean, we need. You were talking about your spiritual life. We need more people in life to come together in this world and really focus on what's good. And even though those 4 officers are I don't know how big the Minneapolis or that Twin City department is, but I would say it makes up a microcosm of really the quality people that come out of our police departments across the nation. Most of them are like you, well-intended people who really want to serve the community. And when you retired as a police officer, you're actually injured. I think you picked up a donut that was too heavy.
It was a big donut.
Yeah,
It's big.
and hurt your back.
Big.
Yeah,
Jelly filled too.
jelly-filled donut.
That added to the weight.
God.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you probably had too much bacon, right?
That's it. It's a big lunch.
God, this is terrible. I love the Men in Blue. I love you guys.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate what our local Virginia Beach guys do, which you were a Virginia Beach police officer. So
15 years.
you know a few of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a heavy foot.
Yeah, I'm well known in Virginia Beach.
Are you on probation still?
No, I'm Brent. God.
Oh, man.
I told you it was going to go. Yeah,
Tough crowd.
I was on probation.
Well, you said not to mention it, so I thought I would mention it because this is what I did.
Touche.
You're welcome.
Right, you mirrored me. You mirrored and labeled.
That's good business, though.
It is.
It's to mirror.
To mirror?
Yeah. That's actually in a lot of successful books, mirroring the person in front of you.
Successful books say mirror.
They say mirror.
Wow. Do you practice mirroring?
No. Yes.
So it sounds like you're a repeater of information.
A repeater of information?
I've met my match. No, that's awesome. So what happened in that transition from retiring from the police department to becoming a realtor?
Actually, it was very easy. People are like, how did you go from that to that? I said, well, for starters, real estate might be a little bit more stressful. You're dealing with a lot of emotions. You're dealing with a lot of money, deadlines, those kinds of things. So it is also very stressful. But one thing that I learned, that it was still about people.
Yeah.
It's still about communication. It's people, and it's a process. I used to train newer police officers as I do new real estate agents in the company. And one thing I used to tell them, even before I got into real estate, was when you're in your police car, we have our bag with our gear, flashlight, files. We have all these, this big bag that we take in and out of the police car every night. But it's all of your gear. So it's almost like your desk. So it's almost like you're running your own business. Because when you're on the street, you are going to have a reputation. You're going to have your own brand, just like in real estate.
Yeah.
You're going to have a brand. You're going to have a reputation. It's almost the same thing. If you had a camera on you as a police officer, would you act that way? Would you want your mother to see you on video doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Be the same for saying in real estate. It's the same thing. If you were being videotaped for, I'm not a real pressure kind of guy with my clients, but it's how would you, if you saw yourself on video and how you are talking to your client, or even be, with other agents about your client, would you even want your mom to see you say those things? So
sounds like what you're saying to me is that people who are not so heavy-handed, whether it be a police officer or a real estate agent, that if you can work on your communication skills, if you can work on how you communicate where you're at. Yeah. So you get a bad guy who's about to do something horrible, obviously you got called as a police officer to show up to a scene when things aren't so good.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what you were saying to me is that if you can bring that moment down, bring that intensity back to a level where people can be more communicative in their and what's happening.
Yeah.
Probably the scariest things you'd ever go on in a call was domestic disputes, I would bet, right?
Yeah. And, there's a lot of emotions with domestic disputes. So that's definitely a very, can be a very difficult, challenging, scary. You never know what to expect. My last injury was a military personnel that had gotten back, and he had some PTSD issues going on.
Threw a donut at you.
Yeah. But that was the last call. That's all right.
So insensitive.
But that was like the last call that I went on. That's where I got injured. It was a domestic violence call. So actually, I never really thought about that, to be honest with you. Because I was like, always, no, not domestic violence. It's the robbery that just happened, and I'm around the corner, and the guy I may come in contact with him very quickly. Those kinds of things. But yeah, actually, It was a domestic issue, and she was for fear of her life and her kids when
Wow.
we showed up. So,
Well, the world needs a lot of prayer and a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And, you and I are both believers, and we know they can find that in Jesus. And
Yeah.
Jesus, there's some promotion for you. So,
that's it.
no.
He doesn't need any promotion.
No, he doesn't.
He's got his
No.
own book. It's called the Bible.
Oh, man.
Bestseller ever.
Have you read it?
I've read it.
Wow.
I read it this morning.
Did you really?
I read it this morning and had my Bible study.
What did you read this
I had
morning?
a Bible study this morning. Actually, we talked a lot about social injustice. So actually, most of the conversation right now was about what's going on in Minneapolis. But I am currently reading 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy.
Nice.
Some leadership,
That's
a
awesome.
little bit of Titus thrown in there.
An approved workman, right? And we were talking about that off scene. And, when you talk about your work effort
Yeah.
and, moving this conversation along about real estate and that work ethic that you had as a police officer and translating that into what you do as a real estate agent now. There's nobody managing now. You probably had a sergeant that managed you back then or a lieutenant that managed you,
Yeah.
but there's nobody there making you get out of bed in the morning, Brent. What drives you to go every day?
So interesting you said that. So the correlation between police officer and real estate agent is the same thing like you're saying. Some police officers go out and they want to hustle all night long. Some don't. But then there's days the guy that likes to hustle, he just needs a rest today
Yeah.
because he's had a long week. It's his Friday. It might be Thursday, but it's his Friday. It's the same concept. What keeps you going as a police officer, same in real estate, again, you are your own reputation, your own brand, so your work ethic will follow you. So no matter what occupation or profession I was in, it's the same thing. So some of the things that keep me going, really what fuels me, all of my business is referral based. I don't pay for leads. There's websites out there where agents, companies pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's not me. For me to get an email that says this person's asking for information on this house isn't real attractive to me. Cold call them, hey, I'm responding to your inquiry you had on this house. How can I help you? Meanwhile, 25 other agents has already called that person because it took you an hour or two to get to them.
You and I have talked about that before, that I feel that if you're in the service business, I relate it to being in a people processing business, that your job every day is to get up and process people.
Yeah.
Some will tell you yes, some will tell you no. Mm-hmm. Your job is to move on to the next one that you can serve in your best capacity and your best way possible, that the talents that God has given you, your responsibility is to serve that community well, do well by doing good. And that's one thing I respect about you is that, folks that I've talked to in the community that know Brent Montella and know Brent Montella as a real estate agent, they've say you can pound some donuts and you're really good at exercise.
I like cookies too now.
And cookies, but that you're a trustworthy individual and that, you will put your best effort forward. So that's awesome. That's why I wanted to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Number one,
appreciate that.
You compete well with me in eating donuts and
cookies.
But you're a solid dude. So
I appreciate
that about you.
Yeah.
I'll give you a
Thank you.
little hand clap. Actually, what was the other one we had on there?
It's interesting.
That's it.
That's you when you get home.
Yeah, right.
But it's interesting when you mention gifts or talents, or everybody uses different words for that. But it's the same, growing up, we all kind of know we have certain gifts.
Yeah.
We may not want to admit we have certain gifts because that doesn't look humble enough. But I think deep down we all know what we're kind of good at and how we're able to connect with people. But it's understanding how to use those properly.
Yeah.
And that's always been, and that took me a very long time to figure that out. That's been part of my journey, is using those gifts, say, for good. Being a Christian, got saved in 2006, but prior to that, I used to kind of joke with one of my siblings about gifts, and that person, I want to use my gifts for good. You always thought you were a good person, but it's really deciding to surrender those gifts to something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's changed a lot how I work and in my personal life, and that's been huge.
Wow.
That's been huge.
You know, I appreciate you sharing your faith here on the show. Does that ever get in the way of your business? And I know your answer, but I want to say that for folks that are listening that may be a believer, and they're like, man, I'm not sure if I should bring this whole religion and politics into our conversation, but
Sure.
I'm all about it. I'm like, let's talk about what's real, and if we can get the 600-pound gorilla out there more and talk about these things that we may be different, and then sometimes bad things may not happen. That if we can communicate better, communication is the key to, in my opinion, to all success in life. That it's the unknowns and the things that we don't communicate, and like in contracts in real estate. It's those unknowns or those ambiguous pieces in your contract that usually kill your deal, right?
Sure. But, it's interesting you bringing that your faith up with work. There is a balance because you don't want it to look using that as a tool.
Yeah. You're some crutch you're hiding behind.
Yeah. Or even just, hey, look at me, this. Well, you have to be cautious, and there's a lot of discernment and wisdom that comes over time on how that works. But, I've had friends or even clients come to my office, sit down in a chair, close the door, and start to cry. I had a younger person, mid-20s, that came into my office, and he just needed somebody to talk to. He came in. He wasn't a client, but he sat down, and he just started kind of crying. And that time I listened, and we prayed about it. We prayed about that. I've also had an older couple come in that made a mistake moving out of the area. I sold their house. They moved out of the area. They came back, and they said, hey, Brent, can we meet you at your office? I thought it was kind of odd. I said, yeah. They came in, closed the door, and they said, we know you wouldn't judge us. We know you wouldn't think any differently of us. We want to come back, and we feel a little weird doing that, but we know you would understand. And I never talked about, religion or, my faith with them, however you want to say it. So that's when I kind of bring that in.
Well, they picked up on that from you.
Right.
And that's that process that you took them through the first time around.
Yeah.
It built what we refer to in my business as a trust bridge. And that's the thing we want to try to do with all of our relationships is build trust bridges. And it's really easy to burn those bridges. It's really easy to create parts of that bridge that can sometimes be damaged. But if you're a well-meaning person, you can build those back. So,
well, real quick too, because I didn't know if we were going to go to another subject, but I had an incident a few weeks ago where I also do property management, and a gentleman came in. They were only in the lease for like 6 months. It's for a year. And he's like, hey, we're getting separated. We're getting a divorce. I could really see he was distraught and upset. And in my heart, I want to pray with this guy.
Yeah.
But I held back, not because I was fearful, but I was already thinking, man, if they're going to get out of their lease early, like there's fees with that. This could be an issue. I'm going to do my best so that doesn't happen. But we're working for the owner, but I want to make sure that everybody is treated fairly. And I held back because I was worried that if I prayed with that person to get him just through this personal thing, and then a week from now I'm like, hey, we haven't gotten it rented yet, and you're going to have to pay this much rent still. And I was worried of what that was going to look like. Well, he prayed with me here, but then now he's like this. What does that say about him? What does that say about Jesus? And so I was having a challenge right there.
Wow.
And I didn't pray with him, because there is a time where it's got to be business, but there's always that respect in business.
Yeah.
It's still, you can still have that.
Wow.
So I was interested.
That's a beautiful part of business is that if you're really taking time with the people that you serve to really listen to where they're at, listen to their wants, their needs, their desires. And sometimes that doesn't equal paycheck.
Nope.
That equals you got to serve your community first.
Yeah.
And then they will serve you and you'll be compensated well. by doing well.
Right.
And in my business, the financial business, we used to say you could see a guy coming who had, we called it commission copter. That every person they saw, there was like this dollar sign over their head,
Right.
and that's all they focus on. And it shows up real quick when you're just a number to someone. But you've got a reputation, and again, the reason I wanted to have you here is because you do have a reputation for serving your community well, and so that's really cool, and I appreciate that about you. So KP's BlackBox, when we're doing a podcast, and you and I could just gab all day and talk about life and talk about Jesus, and we should. That's important.
Sure.
But if we're going to deep dive real estate today, the real estate contract. So it's between a seller and a buyer, and there usually is representation of an agent, right? Like yourself.
Yeah.
Give me some insight. Give our audience some insight on what a real estate contract, the do's and don'ts.
Right.
Inside a real estate contract when you go to buy or sell a house.
Well, an important thing is when you go to the house that you're looking for items, because there's a part of in the contract where it talks about property condition.
Yeah.
And if you see a defect or something during that initial viewing, when you go do the contract, certain things you want to put in there. Some people say, well, we'll just wait till the home inspection. We'll ask them to fix that. Because I've heard agents say that, oh, we'll wait till the home inspection. We'll get that taken care of. So it's really having an agent really that is experienced, or at least has a good mentor or a very good broker that is hands-on in a sense. And I know it's difficult for some brokers to be hands-on, but they need to be approachable, and they need to be able to educate their agents on the specific things that to cover your clients. Yeah. So really from that, but also from the beginning, having a good loan officer, that's good because on the first page, it's purchase price.
Right.
Okay. So where is their max? What's their minimum? Being cautious, you got to be cautious not to push them to that max.
Yeah.
Because, they go by debt to income, credit, and all that, of course. But
so it would be important for a buyer to be pre-approved by his loan officer, her loan officer.
Yes.
Prior to picking out a house.
Yeah. And that us agents have our due diligence to talk to that loan officer and really get an idea of what this looks like, because they may be pre-approved, they bring a letter, but then you come to find out, but I needed this other paperwork, and they didn't get it. So it's really about, again, it comes down to communication, having a relationship with a loan officer, or frankly, just being able to speak to a loan officer, and with your experience, be able to come up with exactly what this person needs.
Yeah, one of our previous shows, we had a local loan officer, and we went into the deep dive of loans and how they work. And one of the things we found in talking in that show was there so often buyers will show up, even seasoned buyers will show up to a loan closing, or even that pre-qualification phase. Yeah. And we find sometimes that people have questions and have concerns that they don't want to seem like they're illiterate or don't understand, and they're afraid to ask. So we really deep dive. Yeah. And so if you want to listen to the podcast, I forget which episode it was, but with Bobby Ashburner.
Episode 999?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a beast.
Yeah.
You're a beast.
But we'll make sure we reference back to that one in your podcast. But deep dive in a real estate contract, the one thing that I would say as a person who's bought a number of pieces of property over the years is the key in those real estate contracts is not to be ambiguous. And if you want something, be clear.
Yes.
And state it clearly.
Yes.
So that if you have to go back and discuss it later or dispute it later. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, verbiage is huge, because there's certain areas where settlement costs, that's a big thing.
Who's paying for what?
Exactly. Okay. Prepaid discount points, closing cost assistance, maybe a home warranty's thrown in their survey. Yeah. There's a lot of things that can be put in there. I've received contracts from other agents where it literally says, if I'm an agent and you're a buyer, oftentimes I say, we're going to try to get closing cost assistance. I'm kind of bringing a lot of things into that. I'm meaning prepaids, discount points, all these other things. Yeah. Because I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple. Really, cost of doing a loan. Hey, this is what we're going to try to get for you. But I've seen where real estate agents have actually put under their closing costs. Closing costs is a very small part of that.
There's buyers and sellers closing costs.
Yes, there's buyer closer, but then there's also the prepaids and discount points. The closing cost is a very small portion.
Yeah.
If we're trying to ask for 3% of the purchase price, and they say, and I put in prepaids, discount points, or at buyer's discretion, whatever that is, I have just included almost everything.
Yeah.
And some agents have put closing costs, and I'm thinking to myself, what a disservice to their clients. That comes to experience and not having that support.
Let me ask you this then. So if you've got a buyer, we live in a capitalistic society, and so pretty much whatever you can dream up, you can have. So from a real estate contract, if a buyer wants something thrown in with their real estate contract, I've seen some before, person pulls up in the yard and they go, "Hey, I want to buy your house, but I like the John boat in the backyard too."
I've gotten those.
Throw that in the contract. So that's done?
Yeah. And it depends on the type of loan. So I definitely try to stay in my lane, but there's things that you can do to ask for those things. It may not be in the contract. It may have to go in an addendum or something like that. So, and certain loans won't allow that.
What's the weirdest, funniest thing you've ever had a buyer ask for?
Sometimes it's personal property inside the home, a painting, something like that. That's you can tell that's the seller's. I won't say that's the seller's family.
They want a sculpture of the
right. Some sculpture,
my bust,
something like that. I just closed on a house recently where we end up getting the boat.
Yeah, nice.
Like a John boat with a little motor. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you just bought a home, the last thing you want to do is have to go buy a boat. So if you can get that thrown in somehow or however, again, there's a lot of different loan guidelines. So I talked to the loan officer because I have that relationship. Hey, what can I add in here? What can I not add in this? This is what they're interested in. You tell me. I like to think sometimes I'm the coach. The loan officer is kind of the quarterback. Closing attorney, they're the wide receiver. So it's I am kind of working all the defense, the offense, making sure everybody's coming together, communicating, talking, expectations are set. That's really big when you're dealing with buyers and sellers is setting expectations on what to expect in this process.
That's great, Brent. That kind of relates back to...
I've never been a coach, though. Basketball coach for my son.
In my financial practice... we refer to ourselves as macro strategists.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be this big picture guy that's bringing all of these micro components of your overall plan together to say, someone's got to have your back and someone's got to be calling in plays that has an understanding of the full scope and full picture of who you are. And it sounds like you do that in the real estate deal where you're trying to bring together all these micro financial components and experts to give your client the best experience possible.
And again, it's not that I have to know everything personally. My dad used to always say, surround yourself with good people. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but you have to surround yourself with good people. I've been using the same closing attorney for 14 years. I've been using the same home inspector when he was by himself with a pickup truck. Now he's got 3 or 4 teams, one of the most professional property inspection companies, I think, in all of Hampton Roads. That's Safe House. But he's a great guy, Troy Pappas. He's a great guy.
Who's your closing attorney? We'll give him a shout out.
I've been using Jones, Walker, and Lake. I've been using them forever.
Walker and Lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
shout
wonderful.
Out to you guys.
And Evelyn is the paralegal I'm always dealing with. They're the ones that really get
That's
it done.
really who's doing it.
I know. Look.
The attorneys pass the bar, but we know.
There's
like
no
in my
doubt.
firm, Noah does all the work in my firm.
Exactly.
So,
If the attorney calls me, that's when I get a little nervous. Because it's about to get. It's about to go down.
It's about to go down.
It's about to go down.
I wish I had a button for that. I don't know what I have. Zach, we got to have it's about to go down.
You can tape me. I can do something.
Yeah. We'll have Brent do voiceovers for us.
Say it. I'll make it a button.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, he could do it right now. Go ahead, Brent.
Right now.
You ready?
Well, I won't be able to make it a button, so I have to record it.
You ready?
Yeah.
It's about to go down.
That was kind of weak, Brent. I think you need to look. Sammy's back there. Brent's
my
wife
wife's
is
over here cracking up,
laughing
with
at
that
you.
big smile of hers.
We're gonna have Sammy on the show too.
Can we edit that out? Because I think I just totally ruined everything I've done up to this point.
It was terrible. But no, we're gonna leave it in there.
It's embarrassing.
But we need to have Sammy on the show too because she is a legal drug dealer.
Yes. CBD.
CBD, baby.
Every time I say CBD.
CBD, little on the THC,
Yeah.
especially when she goes to Vegas.
Every time I say CBD, I grew up
Should
in
I throw
the
Kathleen
late
under the
80s.
bus while we're at it,
Do
too?
it.
Yeah.
I grew up in the late
Gummy
80s.
bears, cat.
Listen to BBD, Bell Biv DeVoe. So every time I say
Oh, yeah.
CBD, the first thing that comes to mind is BBD.
Yeah.
Yo, Ron, what's up with that?
Yeah, I have a few clients in the music business. That we'll see if we can't get you a record deal.
What kind of podcast is this, by the way?
What kind of? So our podcast at KP's BlackBox is we really try to keep it diverse.
Yeah.
I tell folks it's everything from oxygen to money.
Perfect.
The two most important things you need in life: oxygen and money. You ever try to live a day without oxygen, Brent? Never. It's tough.
Never. Yeah.
And if you try to live a day without money in the society that we live in,
That's right.
it's a sucky day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've tried to do that a couple of times, and it didn't work out too well.
This is a great time. This is actually my first podcast ever.
Is it really?
So this is actually pretty fun.
You're having fun with this.
I'm
That's
having
good.
fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah. All right. So we got to get people back to real estate, though.
Yes.
And stop gabbing. We've got a few minutes
Sorry
left here
about
to
that.
do this. That's okay.
Holy cow.
I'll
anytime.
keep you on track here. So, as a real estate agent, and you're working through this contract, deep dive a little bit for me on putting a good deal together.
Yeah.
I once had a guy tell to me, if you feel like you're getting screwed and I feel like I'm getting screwed, then it's
Right.
probably a good deal. That's a little weird way to look at
Right.
how good deals work. But, you know, one of the most stressful days in a human being's life, you and I have talked about this before,
Yeah.
is a home purchase. There's so many people touching that real estate purchase. So what do
Yeah.
you do with your clients to try to help keep them cool, calm, and
That's good.
collective?
I'm glad you brought that up. So I feel like I touched on it a little earlier with my perspective, and I'm trying to create an experience that they're going to actually relish and not regret. And so the 3 C's I call it. So creating the experience, communication, and calm.
I'm glad you remembered those. I
was like
worried.
this.
Oh God, what are they again?
Okay. And, but all of that really comes into play because setting up the expectations with the communication. The calm is they're going to be very stressed out. I like to think I bring humor to it
Yeah.
and
You're a funny guy.
and some ease. But it's also the communication is really explaining the process up front, what to expect. This is what the market's doing. And in Hampton Roads or Virginia Beach, it's kind of weird. Like this week, it could be crazy. Next week, you're like, where did everybody go?
Crickets.
Yeah. So
I got
it
Yeah.
perfect.
Has it been a cricket week?
No, it's
what's the
been
market
busy.
doing?
It's
Yeah.
been busy. Showing homes, couple clients this week. Went on a listing appointment in Norfolk, a nice colonial home. If you're looking for a colonial home in Norfolk, they're going to be turning around and buying. So it's been a really good week doing this podcast. So that's awesome. But really, it's about the 3 C's, and all that together makes the process a lot easier. So when you're talking about the contracts, when we finally sit down, they're in a good place. Because even as I'm showing homes to my buyers, I'm explaining the process. Okay, when we're outside and we're looking at the house, I'm already looking at what's the roof look like? How's the windows? Is it on a crawl space or a slab? Because there are certain things so I'm already educating them. That first house, I say, hey, these are the things I'm kind of looking at. So as we're going through these homes, I'm not, you may or may not have bought a home before, but you may have forgotten. But these are the things I just want to remind you of.
So do you like pre-survey a house before you even bring a client out?
I don't because the way the market is right now, they may call me today. I had a text message before I came in here, and she's like, hey, can I go see this house as soon as possible? So it's not a lot of previewing. It is setting it up and going out there.
Yeah.
But it's really, and it's setting up those expectations. It's huge. It's huge. So it's not stressful. I have a review. It's actually on my website, BrentMontella.com. But I had this client, and it was a husband and wife, Michelle and Terry. And she said this was easier than buying a car. And if you could get a client to say that
On a purchase.
of a home,
yeah.
first-time home buyer, so they have no idea what to expect. They don't know how the process is going to go. So I'm setting all that up in the beginning. So it's going to be a calm process. And what I found when I came up with those 3 C's, or my perspective, I thought, what do I not like about the business or agents or the process?
Yeah.
When I figured out what the things I didn't like, I figured out that was kind of like my purpose.
Yeah.
I want to be the opposite of that. That's what fueled me to be the type of agent that I am, more relational than I am transactional.
Yeah.
And it's been huge. And I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah, it's good.
I find that a lot of real estate agents, because they're so focused on that money, that the process can be, they come in and promise everything. They give you the how and the why. I'm going to sell your house, and if I don't in 3 days, I'm going to buy it. Or this is my plan, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All this kind of puffing, all this how we're going to do it, but they don't explain to you the why. Because they don't even know their why or their purpose or what they're doing. They're just going in and saying, here's the script, and I'm going through this.
So I got to take you back on that. It's interesting you brought that up. So you'll see some real estate agents out there that will make their USP, their unique selling proposition will be,
That's good, yeah.
we will sell your house in 3 days, or
Right.
we will buy it.
Yeah.
How can they do that, and what's the fine print?
Right. I have no idea. Because I always ask my other friends that are in real estate, how do they do that? Well, I'm sure there's a contract. We suggest this price, which is probably lower, but we're going to start here. If we go by the price I say,
Yeah.
if I don't sell it, I'll buy it. I honestly, I don't know. So
I
I'm
would have
speaking
to
out of
guess
turn.
that agent is setting a price that's at a wholesale level compared to a retail level. So
Yeah.
if they're buying your house, they're not likely going to lose any money on that deal.
Right.
So read the fine print,
Right.
read your contract.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to maybe you just have to interview agents. Because most of my business is referrals, I'll get a call. Hey, Kenny told me to give you a call. We're looking to buy a home. They're like, what's next?
Yeah.
All right, let's meet up and talk. Coffee shop. I'll come to your house. We can meet wherever. Come to my office, whatever that may be. So, it's...
Is there any guideline that you think makes sense? Now, obviously, the question I'm about to ask is, how long should an agent be in business before you have a conversation with them? People will ask that about financial planners. Oh, they should be in business 5 years before you trust them with your money. Is there anything like that in your industry where you should look at an agent that has some experience, or at least be teaming with an agent that has X number of years experience? What's your thoughts on that?
So that's an interesting question, because I know at some point everybody started somewhere and they wish somebody gave them an opportunity.
Yeah.
I had my first client. I was in a dinner party. I really didn't even have my license yet. I think I was about to go through the course.
Now, be careful. You might get fined here.
Well, we were just talking.
Oh, you
We were just talking. And
so early on.
so
First piece of business.
Yeah. So honestly, the and everything went according to plan, exactly what it was supposed to. But everybody's got to have an opportunity. So I can't even say that they should have this amount of time to be. I started off part-time, and I did really well. Unfortunately or fortunately, I got injured on line of duty, and I got
Eating
retired.
donuts.
And
I know. You
and
told
I
us
got
that story, Brent.
I'm going to keep bringing it up. It's kind of a big deal. And
Jelly donuts.
exactly, it's heavy. And so I was given the opportunity doing it part-time. Did I tell everybody I was doing it part-time? No. But I had a broker, Tracy Boswell, Seashore Realty. I'll have to say that it's a family.
Tracy's great. I met Tracy before I met you, but go ahead.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
talk about Tracy on another day.
Yeah.
Brent's sister.
Yeah. So Seashore Realty is actually 20 years in 2020.
Oh, congrats,
That's
Tracy.
been in
That's
business, so
awesome.
it's been pretty awesome. But it's always been kind of a boutique kind of company. And
She
anyway,
couldn't have done it without you, Brent.
yeah, that's right. Well, she was going 6 years before me, so maybe the last 14 years. But I think you just need to give them a chance and talk to them, because it
Yeah.
depends on. Tracy was such a good mentor and support system
Yeah.
that she really walked me through it, with a checklist. This is how it goes. But of course, when you come with Seashore Realty, you're going to have a mentor for your first 3 deals to walk you through. Literally, call me, go show the homes. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to go through the contract with you and your client. Let them know your partner will be there an experienced agent that's going to go through it. So they don't have to feel like they're dealing with an agent. This is their first or, sixth deal, still very green, but there's still going to be somebody there with them. So I think it's really giving them a chance. If they're a person with a good heart, bright, whatever, I think that you just give them an opportunity. But I can't put a time, because I don't think that's fair.
I think what it comes back to across the board, the T word comes up, trust. Do you trust the person that you're sitting across from to be well-intended for you?
Exactly. And
if that person's well-intended and they don't know the answer, they don't know maybe the real estate contract like the other agent.
Yeah.
If that person can be transparent with their client and be, we like to use the word radically transparent and using radical truth.
Yeah.
Where it becomes so disarming when you go to people and you go, I probably should know the answer to that. I don't. Just give me an opportunity to find it out for you.
Right.
I think more people respect that than if you try to pretend to be something that you're not.
Right.
And so I think that's probably what you're saying, that there shouldn't really be a timeline, but do you trust the person that you're setting across
and are they surrounded with good people?
Yeah.
People that know what they're doing. It might be my second deal, but I have a mentor that's been in the business for 14 years, done a lot of transactions. They're going to walk us through it. I appreciate you utilizing me and giving me the opportunity, get my business off the ground, but we're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. And I see a lot of agents out here that are really, I don't want to say rogue because they don't mean to be, but they're not being trained properly. They don't have a really good mentor.
Yeah.
They just say,
would you say that's important?
Huge.
Having a mentor?
Huge. It's huge.
Who would you say mentors in your life? Paid, unpaid, people you've met, people that you've maybe trained under?
Yeah. So in real estate, I would say my sister Tracy. She has a lot of experience. Even before Seashore Realty, she was a real estate investor, president of some groups, and she's very knowledgeable. So I would say she's been a huge mentor for me. I also have a friend, Arnell Tanyag, who is a business coach that I've used kind of off and on over the years, sometimes just to kind of bounce things back and forth with him.
Yeah.
And he's just, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Arnell was the local BNI guy from years ago, I remember. Yeah. Tell Arnell I said hello. I don't know if he remembers me or not.
I was actually talking to him this morning. So.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Did you tell him you were going to be on a podcast?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, we should have Arnell on one day.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
And he really connects well with people.
Yeah, super
and can
guy.
really understand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The type of person you are, and that's easier for him then to assist you. Yeah.
So Arnell, your sister, anybody else that comes to mind that you would say had an influence in your real estate business?
For the real estate business, I think that's pretty much it. I kind of feel sometimes I'm in a bubble.
Yeah.
I look at trainings, of course there's all those things, but those are the people that have just been close enough to me to actually influence me to the agent that I am today.
Yeah.
And then of course you get a little bit of something, just like when I was a police officer, you have field training officers, your first 3 phases. Well, you take a little bit something from that field training officer, a little bit from that. And then this is kind of the police officer I now am, of course, and who I am. Same with real estate.
I probably should do this in the beginning of the show, but I was just listening to you and your accent.
Yeah.
I can easily be picked up as being from the South.
Right.
But, I pick up this accent from you that's not Virginia Beach. It's not North Carolina. And so Chicago, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, Noah's over there raising his hand. So you were in the cornfields over there, man, so take it easy.
Yeah, he's like, I'm from Chicago. Where are you from? Macomb. It's like on the other side of the state.
Yeah, is it Macomb? Did he get it right?
30 minutes from Macomb.
Are you serious? Are you serious? So I grew up in Chicago Heights, south suburb of Chicago, but I graduated from Western Illinois University with a criminal justice degree, and that's in Macomb. So I was kind of exaggerating, and that's actually where Noah's from. That's awesome.
Wow.
Total opposite end of the earth.
Yeah, all the people out there saying, so what? No,
it was out in the cornfields, so that is so funny that he lived out that way.
Right.
That's awesome.
Wow. So growing up in Chicago, and I mean, that's a place, a melting pot of people, much like New York City.
Yeah, yeah.
And I, had an opportunity to meet your dad for a short period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
But share some of those stories. There's a couple of them. If I can get you to reminisce back, there was one you told me about you and your brother once.
Which one?
Oh God, this one was
A party we had?
yeah.
Maybe.
Which ones are we allowed to tell, Sammy? There was one where you got in I think you got in a fight with your brother, and did he knock you out?
No. So my brother's always been bigger than me. So
Yeah.
he was my twin brother, Brian, and he was always bigger. But
Yeah.
So what happened was I was hungry. It was summertime, and
Here we go back to donuts.
we were
again.
out of school. Well, it is food.
Yeah.
I think we might have been in high school. Maybe it was like 7th or 8th grade, and I was hungry. And I said, Brian, make me some pancakes. And he's like, because he used to kind of like cooking. And I was like, make me some pancakes. And he would not make me pancakes. We got into a fight because he didn't make me pancakes.
Over pancakes.
I literally put him through some paneling in our basement. That was kind of our relationship.
That's terrible. You did that. to your
Terrible.
brother.
That was terrible. Actually,
Who won though? Your brother?
no.
Really?
I was kind of scrappy.
Yeah.
I was kind of scrappy. There was this one time we got into it, and he threw a ham bone. A ham bone. So
Yeah.
I grew up in an Italian family.
The bone of a pig.
Yeah, my grandma
okay.
would make gravy. That's spaghetti sauce, but we called it gravy. And you'd put a ham bone in there, kind of that would season it up. But I remember there was a pot in our kitchen, and literally, you'd give it to your dog afterwards. He's biting it. We were fighting in the house, doing who knows what. He literally picked up that ham bone. He threw me. I got 5 stitches, right? You could still see the scar where he hit me. I had to go to the hospital and get stitches because he threw a ham bone at me.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Brothers, man. There's some stories.
Man, they used to
Yeah.
call us the Mud Boys because we were always so dirty, rolling around in the mud and the dirt.
That sounds like one. I'll tell you one real quick. My brother and I, Paul.
We don't have time for that. Can we get back to me?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll jump on it. We
Go
got
ahead,
13 minutes.
Go ahead, Kenny Porter, BlackBox.
So it reminds me of a story with my brother where we got in a fight. We got in a bunch of fights,
Yeah.
but the one where I beat him, and he's 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
But I was in the kitchen sawing canned biscuits.
Was it a knife or a saw, actually?
It was with a little steak
Because we had
knife.
no tools. We would
Yeah.
use a knife, but go ahead.
Yeah, a little steak knife. And I'm trying to open the canned biscuits with a steak knife to feed our cat.
Yeah.
Whose name was Preacher, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Open this can of biscuits. Paul comes in and is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like 5. Maybe I'm 8. Maybe he's 13. Doesn't matter. I whooped him. But here's what happens. He comes in and tells Mom that I'm sawing open this can of biscuits. And I've got a steak knife in my hand, so don't arrest me.
You cut him? Did you cut him, brother?
I stabbed him in his forearm
Oh, my God.
with a steak knife.
What is wrong
Stuck
with
it
you?
clean through his
Stop.
forearm. Yeah. So assault with a deadly weapon. 8 years old. Yeah. So confession today. True confessions on KP's BlackBox.
I think it's in John Wick 3.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
his name again? What's the
They
guy's name?
replay that.
What's his name again?
Keanu Reeves.
No, Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, Lawrence Fishburne.
And he said, sometimes you got to cut a brother.
Yeah, I did.
And that's what you did.
Smooth. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we completely got off real estate here, but I just wanted the Chicago accent.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I should have talked about Brent that.
And it's weird kind of hearing you. I feel like I'm trying to talk lower because I could be very loud. So I'm
Yeah.
still kind of.
You do you, Brent.
I'm working through this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, I always like to ask folks as we get towards the end of a show, and thanks for being on here today. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll have you back on another
Definitely.
day where we can gab more, but
Did we talk real estate?
well, just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit.
I feel like we were just hanging out.
But what's important is that people know where they can find you. We'll share that on our site.
Yeah.
And, people in Hampton Roads. Now, you're just licensed in Virginia? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want a good agent in Virginia, I'd tell you, look up Brent Montella, brentmontella.com, and we'll put it on the podcast for you as well. But what's more important to me is just your character and wanting people to understand that if you want to be a good business person, if you
Right.
want to be a good person in community, it's about building that trust bridge. It's about building that
Yeah.
relationship with people. That's what's really important.
Yeah.
But you were telling and sharing with me earlier that one of the books you're reading, obviously, is the Bible.
Yeah.
What else you reading right now? Anything that's interesting?
I just finished I don't even remember the title. David Baldacci. I think that's how you say his last name.
David Baldacci. You guys look that up. What's the book?
Oh my gosh. I literally have read, I think, all of his books.
It must have been great. You're able to.
Well, I read often right before I go to bed,
Yeah.
oftentimes. So, but I can't remember the name of the title.
So
It's
what was
brand
the
new.
premise of the book?
It's brand new. I like more of those kind of James Bond, CIA covert
so it's
kind
a
of books.
fictional?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tom Clancy's. I think there's a
those
Vince
are cool.
Flynn, David Baldacci.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of the books that I read.
Yeah.
And
Because you get a lot of business insight from those books, and they
right.
help you
exactly
in your real estate transactions.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm trying to help you here, Brent.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But real quick with the whole real estate, sometimes dealing with agents, they think that the louder you are, the nastier you are in negotiating, that makes you a good agent. I see that a lot, and that it has to be this adversarial, and that is so far from the truth. That's one thing that I just wanted to kind of get across is it doesn't need to be like that, and it doesn't mean that they're a better negotiator because they're louder or they scream or they talk down to you or what have you. I mean, it's just life in general, but that's pretty big. That's pretty big for me, and it's not about the awards.
Yeah.
It's the people in the process. It's the journey. It's the, the training.
Most of
leading
your
up to it.
clients are repeats too, right? The people that you've done transactions with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're calling you back. That's a good example of
Yeah.
having some success then.
Yeah. And I would say, already this year, I've already had a handful of people that I've sold homes to that have sold their home and then they purchased, doing it at the same time, where you list the house, they're buying a house, you're trying to line all that up. This is, it's a lot of logistics. Again, as the coach,
Yeah.
being in those situations, you kind of have that plan, that process, setting up the expectations for them to say, hey, this is what can happen. This might happen, and we'll address it as it goes. But these are some of the options and things that could happen. So again, it's just that knowledge and experience that.
From the knowledge point of view, 2020 obviously has been a little bit of a disruptor for a lot of businesses, and the whole COVID crisis.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to not even bringing that up in
Yeah.
episodes in the near future. But where do you see real estate Hampton Roads 2020?
Yeah.
Buyers market, sellers market. What's your tea leaves tell you?
The market is so crazy right now. I mean, some people would say it's more of a seller's market. The inventory is very low, and there's still plenty of buyers out there. So it's very competitive. And again, setting up expectations for buyers, keeping them calm.
Are you seeing any of
frustrations.
those things like the pre-mortgage meltdown of 2008? Are you seeing like multiple contracts coming in on houses?
Yeah, multiple contracts, not giving the seller concessions we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's a very competitive market, and sometimes it's by the week. Hampton Roads is interesting. We have a lot of military, of course, but one week could be crazy busy, and then it could be quiet for a couple weeks for you. But the other guy, he's killing it this week. You're looking at him going, man, he's killing it. I don't feel like I have.
How are you living with this bizarre world of wearing masks and gloves and showing homes, and it's nuts. So
Yeah. Honestly, the homes that I've shown, the owners, the list agents, it hasn't been too crazy. Some are, don't touch doorknobs. We're going to keep all the lights on. Don't touch the outlets. Those kinds of things. But oftentimes they're like, okay, go show.
yeah.
Business as usual.
Right.
My business was not a hiccup during all of this. I've been very busy, whether it's property management, whether it's, buying and selling for my clients. It's just been a great season. It really hasn't caused us.
So that's another
hiccup.
side of your business we didn't talk about. We got a couple more minutes
Yeah.
to do that. So you do property management as well. What's that market look like in the rental?
Yeah. A big part, having a process. So I have a CRM, client relation management system, whatever you may call it. But I get a lot of leads from that. All my business is referrals, but for rentals, having a process for that, rentals are going very quickly also.
Yeah.
And I have a really good system. I have somebody that helps me with that, an assistant. also assists me on my selling and buying side. Because oftentimes in our business, it's about leveraging time. If I'm doing all of that paperwork and all of the things that just need to be kind of filed or whatever, I can't be out with clients and people and do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So leveraging your time, that's really huge, having an assistant.
Are you seeing it become tougher for renters who maybe not able to purchase yet? Like, what's that credit score minimum? What are you looking for in a tenant
Yeah.
for your clients?
Yeah, we definitely have requirements because we're representing the owner in the end.
Yeah.
You know, the tenants want us to work with them with certain things. Of course, that's what we do. But in the end, we're representing the owners. And so I have found, you know, we have requirements. And I have found with our requirements and the system that we have, our track record, my track record for all the rentals I manage are great.
Meaning defaults are low.
Right. Everybody's paying.
Okay.
You know, it's pretty rare that you have, you know, you get a house back after a renter where it's, you know, tore up or it's in disarray or what have you. So it's all about, again, having the processes and setting expectations and doing all these things up front and not just on a whim makes the biggest difference. But property management is busy. People still need to rent because they can't buy. Because the market could be so competitive, they'll need to rent for another year. Or maybe they need to do a couple things. But again, having a good loan officer, as I do, that I work with, you need some help with your credit, he'll look at it. He'll kind of give you a plan. So in a year, maybe 2, you can then buy a home. So it doesn't have to just stop with them being a tenant. It's really about everybody wants to own their own home, pride of ownership.
Awesome. So as we leave today, did you guys find that book, by the way?
No, there's a couple of them.
What are they?
Perfect Assassin.
I mean, that's
Perfect
Walk the
Assassin.
Wire.
That's Brent.
yeah.
Minute to Midnight.
Yep,
Redemption. Walk the Wire.
Redemption.
Winter Seed,
That's another podcast.
Memory
Yeah.
Man,
Redemption.
Long Road Mercy.
Long
I literally
version.
read all those books.
But which one did you just read? You don't remember?
It's the line.
Sammy, he needs some help.
what's that new one?
Take him.
If I had my phone.
Get him some help.
This is Perfect Assassin. It looks like.
No, it should
Yeah.
be something that came out literally like a month ago.
I think Perfect Assassin just goes, well, let's say that.
Call it the Assassin. Okay.
Yeah, just because of real estate. I mean, you've got to be.
Perfect Assassin.
Yeah, you got to be on it.
One Good Deed.
Yeah.
That's another
One
one.
good. That's Brent.
That's
One
another
good-
podcast. One good deed.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's awesome.
The Atlee Pine thriller.
The which one?
Covered.
The what?
It should be. It's the line. Line something.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at. We'll find that
Yeah.
out in
The Whole Truth.
the whole truth.
No.
There you go. Radical
I don't know what kind of
transparency,
technical
radical
team
truth.
you got over here, Kenny, but you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a book
Hey.
that came out this month,
Well, look.
and
Well,
David Baldacci,
look,
2020.
that's the
I bet it
pot
would come
calling
up.
the kettle
I bet it
black
would
here.
come up.
You're on these guys for not finding it. You can't remember the name of the book,
Right out
Brent.
loud.
And we even talked about this pre-show, man.
Pot calling the
Come
kettle
on.
black. You just want to bring the black box back
Yes, I do
into
the black box. KP's
Kenny
black box.
Porty,
Right.
KP's black box.
21,
Yeah.
2020, Walk the Wire.
There it is. That's it. Walk the wire.
Walk the wire.
I said the line. Line,
Walk the-
wire.
that's
you
Johnny
can't figure
Cash.
that out? Come on. Line, wire.
Walk the line is Johnny Cash.
Be terrible.
Shout
Who
out
wants to be a
Johnny.
millionaire?
Yeah. Man,
I'm
you-
not calling that friend.
Yeah,
That's all
you-
I know.
We tried. We tried.
It's awesome.
Hey, man, we could do this all day.
I know.
But people are like, their ears are probably burning now.
They're like,
We're
why did they
getting
do this
close.
podcast? What does that guy
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, right. So,
Real estate professional.
real
Brent
estate
Montella.
professional extraordinaire.
I have a digital
Montella.
business card. How cool is that?
It was cool.
'Cause,
And
you know, COVID-
Zach actually made me one after I showed him that.
Oh, dang. For
Zach,
free?
shout out to Zach for free.
Man, he could have.
For free.
Man, that's-
FREE people. Digital
But
business
you know,
card.
what do they say
Zach
about
Stein,
things that you give out
Kenneth
free to
Porter
people?
and Co.com.
What do they
Another
say?
promotion.
What do they say about when you want to give things out free? Does that work? Or is that-
Giving free stuff.
is there value?
It's called freemium.
Freemium.
Free premium content.
Exactly.
Yeah. You
fine.
should try that.
I just wanted you to
Work
get
on
that
your
in.
business. Yeah.
I want to get you that.
So if people can find you on BrentMontella.com.
Yeah.
Your license in
Virginia. Instagram,
Instagram.
Facebook.
All right. We'll put that on our show for you. How many books have you written, Brent?
0.
0. Are you working on one?
It's
chapter
interesting.
in the book,
I've actually had thought about it,
You
but
should.
no.
You could be
it's-
great at that. You really should.
No.
You should-
I need to do a
Sammy,
podcast.
you should write a book,
I
right?
want to do a podcast.
Do that. Yeah. You got a studio right here.
It'd be awesome.
Come
I
on
appreciate
back.
that.
We'll have you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being on the show today. It was awesome to have
great
you
hanging
here.
out.
Yeah, we'll have you. You know what? We'll have you with Pastor Clayton.
Oh my
we'll
gosh.
get him on the show and have him just
be rolling.
minister to
We'll
us.
be rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get the preacher to cuss.
Get him to do it.
He's right now. He's going, oh my God.
He's
no,
like, did
I
they
am
just
not
say
coming on
my
your show."
name?
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. L.A. Laker. Look him up.
I think it was a week.
I think it was 3.
It might have been 2 days.
Yeah. I don't know, Clayton.
bad.
Fact check us.
I feel
We'll find
bad.
out. All right. Hey, thanks for being here. It was awesome.
Who's fact checking the fact checkers? Fact checkers.
Yeah.
My line.
Twitter. Yeah.
He's stealing my line.
Whatever.
All right.
All right. Hey, thanks for spending an hour with Brent Montella. This has been crazy.
Yeah,
I hope you
it's
learned
fun.
something about real estate today out of the mix of everything we talked about. And it was entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully other people found it to be that way.
Awesome. Thanks, Kenny.
See you, man.
Appreciate it, bud.
Bye.
All right. All right.
That was really
Was it good?
nice. I loved it.